Hello people of the world, and today I'm going to be talking about deflection. Alright, now deflection is one of those common words, right? But I'm going to give it some context. I'll give you a few examples and then we'll talk about what it is and why it affects a relationship and whatnot. So deflection is when an issue is brought up or something is brought up that you might need to take accountability for, but instead of doing that, you use a shield to almost mirror something back to the person or put it on someone else. So this deflection, right, it happens in all relationships. It happens at work, it happens in partnerships, it happens with brothers and sisters, it happens with mums, dads. You know, whenever there's more than one person, you can get deflection. And it happens because people don't like that feeling of being embarrassed or shame or like they're a bad person or whatever. And so to get that heat off of them, ultimately it needs to go to someone else, right? So give you a few examples. First of all, shout out to my 11-year-old nephew Matthew for giving me this example. Funny enough, he knew exactly what it was. So I don't know whether what he's saying is true, that he got it from Malcolm in the Middle, or whether I've been talking about it too much. But here we go. I said, Matthew, what is deflection then? He said, say, for example, if I left the milk out and you told me about that and I didn't apologize for it, but instead I say that Darcy left the cereal out. And it's a perfect example because what he's saying is he's not going to apologize and instead he's going to throw his sister under the bus. Hypothetical example, of course. Another one is, say, for example, you're in a partnership and, you know, we all do this, right? We're all guilty of it. Let's own it. Someone says, your partner says to you, oh, I noticed that you've spent too much time on your phone tonight. You've been like 3 hours and, you know, trying to have a nice meal or whatnot. And you say, oh yeah, but you do it all the time. In fact, just yesterday you were on the phone all night long. And at work as well, it happens. In business, actually, it happens all the time. You might get an employee, say you're a manager and you ask your employee to do something and they don't do it on time. And when you question them, you say, why wasn't that done in time? They say, well, no one got it done in time. The project was too difficult. So now the problem is not the fact that they didn't do it. It's because you set out the work too difficult. Now, the thing with deflection is, right, you've got two problems there. You've got the problem that you brought up and you've got the deflected problem. Both of those might need to be discussed, but it's really important that they're discussed in their own time. So, you know, and we can do that with all of those examples, right? Say, for example, Matthew with a milk. All right, Matthew, but we're not talking about Darcy with the cereal box. We're talking about you with a milk. We can talk about the cereal box in a minute. The phone situation. Okay, well, let's discuss my problem first, and then we'll look at your situation as well. The work situation. Just sack them. Same thing, right? You've got two problems there. They both need to be dealt with in their own right. But, you know, the biggest thing is not the actual deflection, right? Because as annoying as that is, and it is annoying, it's not the worst. The worst thing with deflection is that when you're deflecting a problem, which might feel good in the moment because you're taking the heat off of you, the problem is that the other person's feelings have been dismissed. So they no longer feel heard, they don't feel validated, they don't feel listened to, and to be honest, it's pretty disrespectful. So communication tactics are to keep bringing it back to the problem that you're discussing, right? And for the people that, you know, if you identify with this deflection tactic and you feel that you do a lot of that, or even sometimes, just think about it from the other person's perspective. Because, say, for example, put yourself in the shoes of the person that's bringing up an issue, right? So you've brought up an issue and your partner or your manager or whatever says, well, that's because of this, or that's because of you, or that's because of that person. How are you going to feel? We all deflect sometimes. The important thing is not that we don't do it, because we're all going to do it at one point or another. This is the most important part, is that we say, I understand actually I didn't think about it from your perspective. And from now on, I'm going to do things differently. And then put something into, like for example, with a milk situation. From now on, as soon as I do my cereal, I'm going to put the milk away. Or from now on, I'm going to keep my phone in my pocket and I'm only going to take it out when I want to take it out. Or from now on, that task at work that you gave me, I'm going to prioritize it. So it's always very, very important to do a repair, because if you're not repairing the relationship, then there's an argument for that you're damaging the relationship. Something to think about. Right, I am now going to go and enjoy my walk, and you folks are going to go and watch another YouTube video. All right, no, seriously. Speak to you another time, and take care.